So are you wanting to open up your own business checking account? Well, if you are, then there's a few things that you need to watch out for. So in today's video, I'm going to cover some of the different fees that you definitely want to ask, some stuff that you will never hear a banker talk about, and some things that you will never see in your personal checking account to watch out for. So we're going to be talking about in today's video. If that's something you want to know, make sure you stick around. Well, hey there, entrepreneurs, and welcome back to Entre Woman TV, where I help you transform your passion into the business that you love so that you can change people's lives. Now, I got a question recently on a video that I did, and it is by Shelly, and she asks, can you do a video on how to choose the best bank for your business? Example, I have a service-based business, hair and makeup, and I've been in the market trying to find a good bank to set up a business account. Thanks so much, Shelly, for your question. I'm really pumped to answer this for you, so let's jump into it. So when most people are choosing a bank, they typically may try to go or consider with something that's local or someplace that they are already banking for their personal checking or savings or something else like a money market account or something like that. However, I would encourage you not to do that just off of those merits alone. Yes, you may be more familiar with the bank and the people and things like that, and that's always a plus. But you want to make sure that you're picking a bank that is best set up for your needs. Now, if you can do it at the same location, that's great. But if not, don't be afraid to try something else or go someplace else. Another thing is that there is also a big difference when it comes to, what should you do? A regular big bank like a U.S. bank or Bank of America? Or should you go with something local and, maybe support a local credit union or something like that? I would encourage you also, don't just jump to a credit union because it's local and all those good things. Now, don't take this in the wrong context. I absolutely, recommend supporting local businesses and all of that great stuff. But when it comes to your business and your money, sometimes they fall short in being able to handle all of the different things and just being familiar with the different things, especially, retailing, online business, market space, and things like that, and all the different stuff that plugs into it. And I'll go into some of the different details, but I wouldn't recommend, just my personal opinion, I would not recommend using a credit union. I have not found where they are able to best service you in all of the different categories that I'm going to be talking about. So let's jump into it. So the first thing that I would recommend when it comes to, a specific bank, and I'm going to stick to banks, again, not credit unions, for the purpose of this video, is mobile accessibility. When we are doing business, we are always on the go. Very rarely are we just stuck in one particular location. If you do have a brick and mortar business, you are spending some time there, but you also don't want to just be creating something that requires you to be in town. So you need to have mobile accessibility. And yes, the website may be mobile friendly, but do they have an app? And this is one of the few times where somebody having a specific dedicated app is super helpful, because your church may have an app or the school may have an app, but it's not really doing anything different than just a mobile website would do. But you want to make sure that it has some mobile accessibility, because when you are out of town, if you do have to handle something when you're away from your location, or if you have a home-based business like I do, I'm working right here at my home office, then you still need to be able to handle your business, whether you're at hopefully not, like texting and driving, all that stuff, but it happens. You get in traffic or a red light and you're just legit sitting there. So you got time to quickly check that. So you want to make sure that it's not just mobile friendly, but the mobile accessibility is there. And so I want to touch on just a couple of things, but it's a lot of stuff that I want to hit on. So I'm not going to go into detail on every little thing, but I do want to make sure I at least go over some of the stuff. So the first thing of that for the mobile accessibility is the limitations of the app. When they do have the app, is it just, again, checking the account balance, or can you do some other functions with it? One of the things that I absolutely love is that I can make direct deposits if I'm getting paid by check for whatever reason, or for some specific job or whatever. Then I can make sure that I can take a picture of that with my phone, and within a short time frame, they're able to respond. Now, again, this is something that when it comes to smaller banks or something that's only local, that you want to be cautious of too. Because if you do have someplace that's local, they don't have a 24-hour like Bank of America or US Bank or something like that. They may have customer service that's 24 hours or something like that. Local or smaller banks may not. So you don't have pretty good turnaround time when you're doing functions like that. Or if you need to utilize chat services, and I'll get into some of that in a little bit, but make sure that it is having different things that you are going to be able to do, and that the limitations are very, very low. So don't just make sure they can check the balance and all of that stuff. Like, make sure you check the limitations of what the app can do and what it can't do. And even if you're not banking with them yet, go to the Google Play Store, go to iTunes Store, and just scroll through some of the images and see what kind of stuff does it say that you can do versus and just really pay attention to the things that you can't do. Another great thing is like payment transfers, and being able to, transfer maybe from your personal checking account and deposit that as a capital deposit into your business checking account. And so there are times where, unfortunately, you may have to take from your personal monies or, income or job or whatever, and fund something for the business, or initially to begin with. That's typically what you're doing. So you want to make sure that when you need to, that money is there. You want to make sure that they can get on that fast, so that you're only looking at maybe 24 hours at the longest. So make sure that overall the mobile accessibility is on point. So number 2, when it comes to picking a business checking account, is make sure that make sure you go over the fees, make sure that the fees are clearly listed. You know exactly what you're getting into, what you're going to have to pay, and what you're not going to have to pay. And there are different types of fees, some things going in early on that you may not be familiar with. So also look at, again, so even though, it may be a service-based business, don't just only go off of that. Really think, like, if, for example, you develop your own shampoo formula or something like that, and vice versa for anybody. If it's a product-based business, consider one day you may offer services or something like that. So just know you want to have a good playground for both of those things. So a couple different things when it comes to the fees. So let's get to that. ATM fees. Man, everybody will tell you that, yeah, you can always come to our ATM and it'll be great. Okay, do you travel for your business? You're going to travel at some point. How, well known is this bank in other cities? How many ATMs do they have in your current city? Make sure that they are some of everywhere. And then some things that, some of these different banks and financial institutions will talk about is making sure that you have a shared network or something like that, so that you can go to another bank's ATM or something and they don't have any fees. So when it comes to that and dealing with ATM fees, make sure that even though they say, oh yeah, we're pretty well known, look at the actual map. Go to their website, which typically you should be able to find this or get this from customer service. Look at the actual map for your city for where all of the ATMs are. And if they have that in addition to, a shared network branch system, then see where all those other ATMs are as well. Because if you go to a recent trip like I just did in Las Vegas, you want to make sure that if you do have, something that's maybe centrally located, or it's only within a certain region of the United States, primarily for those bank locations, that they have a shared network, so that when you're out of town and you need to handle business, you have another location that's a part of their network that you can still go to. So pay attention to the ATM fees. Don't just take their word for it. Do your own research. So that one is huge. Merchant account and associated fees that come with, depositing balances and stuff like that. So if you're not familiar with what a merchant account is, so I do small business coaching and consulting. So when somebody hires me as their mentor coach, what that means is that they're paying me directly and we're doing one-on-one coaching sessions. When I'm receiving payment for somebody, I'm not, just saying, hey, go to PayPal, here's an invoice or something like that. I've seen people that do that. I don't particularly recommend that. You want to have your own merchant account, so that when you are having somebody pay you directly for services, that's something that you can set up and it's just automated. So you're not having to physically type those numbers in. And it's a lot of stuff that goes into handling people's personal credit card information, and that information being super sensitive. And I can foresee some things really starting to come down the pipeline, as far as like Facebook running into issues with their business, a lot of credit stuff. So I think we can expect some changes in the near future when it comes to how we're able to manage that. But there are rules when you're taking people's credit card. It's not just go to PayPal. It's not just take a Square or something like that. When you are doing something like where you're receiving payments, you have people's credit cards on file or an agreement that lets you collect that payment. You want to make sure you have a merchant account set up, and they'll go over, like any details with you and stuff like that. But when it comes to your bank, making sure that if you're receiving large deposits or you're getting multiple deposits, are they familiar with that kind of stuff, so that when you get those deposits in varying amounts, multiple times per day, maybe you had a bang out day, what's the cap when it comes to that? And are there any fees for when somebody's paying online or through some kind of, company or something like that? Or is it okay? Now, it would seem silly to be charged a fee for deposits, but it happens. And if they're not familiar with that particular merchant service account or that brand or that system or whatever, then make sure and figure out what kinds of companies do they work with, which ones are they familiar with. And you hopefully want to talk to somebody that understands online banking, the systems and the functions of online banking, and all of those different things. So I've been working in the financial services industry for nearly a decade. And so when somebody brings up certain conversations, some coworkers have no clue, and it may be an older person in the building. So if you get somebody that has no idea what you're talking about when you mention this, get an older person. Typically, every bank has some older woman, some senior representative someplace that knows stuff that somebody that's fairly new, even within 5 years, that hasn't just ever come across that kind of stuff, or it's not been on their radar to even pay attention to it. So it's not something that happens all the time. Most banks don't have something where they charge it, but the merchant service may. So that's something to consider. Who are you going to be using for collecting payments and collecting and receiving payments and stuff like that? So that's something I wanted to throw out there. It's not something you see a lot, but it is something to be aware of. Okay, overdraft fees. This is huge. It's not nothing we don't all know about. Everybody's had it where, something's coming through, you don't have the money. Is that charge going to go through, or is it going to be denied? Most banks give you the option to say, yes, go ahead and pay this for me. I'll pay you back. And, you'll charge the fee for it. And then you have the option to say, if I don't have it, don't charge me anything, let it reject or whatever. When it comes to running your business, it's stuff like having a website that you cannot afford for that to be down. And also when it comes to your personal brand and your image, take the hit. That's really kind of like, it sucks. It's kind of, I feel like it's sucky advice. I would encourage you to take the hit, because the day that somebody decides that they want to hire you for some kind of services, they're going to go and fill out a contact form on your website. They're going to get your information or something like that. The day they decide to contact you and your website is down because you couldn't afford it, it's super embarrassing. Thankfully, it's never happened to me, but I have been with organizations where it's like, it's time to renew the site. And it's like, and those calls start coming in like, we can't do this and we can't do that. And trying to rush and help somebody get that stuff taken care of because the site is down, it's super embarrassing. And it's just not something that you want to deal with. So if it's something serious, then that's one thing. But if you wanted a, $5 hamburger, then, make arrangements to have $5 in your pocket. But overdraft fees is super important. Figure out what that fee schedule is. Do not let them play you when it comes to these fees, because you need to know what the exact dollars amount. Just say, oh, well, you can just call and we'll talk to you about it. No. I need to know if, is it at different amounts? Like if it's $100, it costs more for a fee, or is it a flat fee no matter how much it costs? It could be a $25 fee. So if it's a $300 product, I'll pay the $300 and then I get charged a $25 overdraft charge. Or is it, like $50 for $100 and over, or, and maybe $5 for anything below that. Really figure out and understand what those fees are. So overdraft fees are huge because it happens to everybody. Convenience fees. Convenience fees are not convenient for you. They're convenient for them. Figure out, if you were to bank with them, what kind of convenience fees are included. So if you need to pay that overdraft, or you want to, transfer funds from this account to that account, or whatever, what convenience fees exist dealing with this account? This is a question that they will not expect for you to ask, but you need to ask, because when it comes to, if you were able to, like some credit unions, for example, may give you a small short-term loan, and it's not nearly as horrible as, like a payday loan. So when it comes to, maybe paying that off, if it's like $100 or something like that, figure out what's the convenience fees for paying online or anything like that. So just specifically using the wording convenience fees with dealing with that particular business checking account will help you figure out what those fees are. So that should help cover the basis when it comes to any fees, any little nooks and crannies where they can try to get you. Okay, so the next thing is just really more of a warning, and that's don't fall for the bait. When it comes to somebody that is trying to get a commission for an account being opened or something like that, sometimes whether it's for personal or for business, they will have, well, hey, if you sign up for a new free business checking account or whatever, we'll give you a $50 credit that'll be on your account within the first 30 days of your whatever. Read the fine print and the small print for that, and don't just be tempted to bank with that bank because they offer that. A lot of times there are different factors that come into play, something to the effect of you need to have at least hold a balance of $500 or more to be able to be eligible for the account. And so that if your account falls below that, you have XYZ days to bring it back up to the minimal amount, or your account may be closed, or whatever the case is. And then you'll have to pay that money back, or your account has to be open for XYZ amount of time. And if the bank is not going to work for you, if they aren't meeting those parameters, really this isn't really free money. It's money that you're going to get for a little while, and you may have to pay back if you do not continue to meet the requirements of what they're asking or something like that. So really figure out the fine details. It's fine if the bank is a great bank, they're hitting on all of all cylinders for what you want and what you need, and you get the credit, take the money. But if they don't, for opening an account but it meets all of your requirements, and by all means, do not get some type of paid account. There are a lot of different options out there for small business entrepreneurs and home-based businesses. So many different options out there. There is no point, even if it's something like $29, which, sometimes they kind of are around that range. This is an unnecessary amount, especially when you're just starting out. Give yourself some time to really figure out what kind of consistent income you're going to have over at least a 2-year period, so that you can average what kind of monies you're able to hold month by month. So the last tip that I want to share with you all is a couple things that they are not going to tell you. Again, I've worked in the financial services industry in different types of banking, whether it's been from mortgage to auto lending to credit cards and online banking. I've pretty much covered the bases there. And there are a lot of things that goes on behind the scenes for banking that most consumers do not see. Now, because I still work within the financial services industry, I cannot share with you all of those things, but I will give you a few things that you should be wary of. First thing being pending deposit times. So especially like on weekends. Yeah, I wrote it down. It's that important. So, so when it comes to the pending deposit times, make sure that if I deposit my money by this date and time, what's the cutoff period and how long before it rolls over, whether it's from something like Square, PayPal, your merchant account or something like that. If a deposit is being made, what is the time frame, especially on the weekends? Is it still going to be deposited, or how does that work? So make sure you ask that specific question. Second thing is app deposit hold times. So if you do have a bank that has a great mobile app and they have where you can make deposits via the app, again, this is where it's helpful to have a larger bank that has, around the clock customer service, because you can say, then they may have a better app deposit time, but it's like, okay, I deposited this Saturday at 1:00. Is it going to be available later on tonight, or is it going to be something like Monday morning? I can deposit money just about at any time at my bank, and within a few hours that money is available and it's been cleared. I got an email about it and confirmation, and it's good to go. So that's something to know, that if the app has that ability, how long are we talking about here? Because if you need that money now, or if you just want access to that money now, then you need to know if you're waiting 2 business days or however many days or whatever. Third thing is chat service and customer service availability. Kind of touched on that a little bit, but just making sure that if you are going with a smaller bank, what kind of customer service hours do they have? Is it just the strictly Monday through Friday, 8 or 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or something like that? Or what are we looking at here? And if they have chat services, awesome. What's the hours? Or is it 24/7? So that's helpful. Fourth thing, holding on to deposits, especially large accounts, large deposits for no reason. Again, just needing to know what's the policy on that. How does that work? What are the rules? Tell me all the nitty ditty or the nitty gritty. So fifth thing, and then it's one more and then we're done. Accurate account balance. So this one is huge. So there are different balances on your account for any bank account. There are some that you will not see as a consumer, and there are some that the bankers will see and that cannot be shared with you and stuff like that as things are happening on your account. You have different charges, you have different deposits and stuff like that. So there's some things that just are not available to you, but some banks will give you, like, maybe here's the pending balance, here's the available balance, and then here's the projected balance by X, Y, and Z date. That's all great, but do I have an accurate figure for these numbers? Is something not pending that should be pending? What's the issue with that? Weekend charges are huge now. I'm starting to see a lot more financial institutions make changes around that. And so you just want to know, if I make a swipe on Saturday at 8 p.m., that swipe is actually going to show up, so that if I check my mobile app and I want to see what my balance is, that I know that I'm getting an accurate number at one of those three numbers or something that's an accurate reflection of what's in there right now. Last thing is account closure fees and the process to close the account and withdraw the fees. And that's why I was suggesting, do not just fall for the $50, $100 account credit, because if they say you need to have your account open for at least 18 months and you decide that this bank is not working for you, they said they have these different features and it's just not working out, the customer service sucks and this, that, or whatever, and you're ready to bounce, you need to know, what is it going to cost me to leave? Because sometimes banks may charge a fee for you to close the account prior to your contractual agreement based on that $50 that you took. So know what things exist. And if I did want to pull my money and go someplace else, how difficult is that? Get exact answers for when these people are answering questions for you, because it shouldn't be like, oh no, it's just easy. You just come tell us and we'll work it out and we'll talk about it or whatever. No, I need to know the process. If I want to completely drain my account, I want, in a cashier's deposit, and I want to be able to take this to my next bank or whatever, what is the process for me actually closing down this account? Are there any holding periods, or how does that work? So get specific details anytime you're asking any of these questions. So I hope that was helpful for you, Shelly, as well as everyone else here in the Entre Women TV community. It's a lot of things that I unpacked in today's episode, but the thing to realize is that when you're talking about your money, you are talking about the lifeblood of your organization. I don't care if it's a nonprofit. I don't care if it's a for-profit. Any business that you have, you need to be able to get stuff at a moment's notice. And if something happens and if something goes down and you need to replace it and it's vital to your business, and that payment that you just got from a client is not going through because of some crazy crap, you need to know. You don't want to have to deal with that if you're able to ask the right questions before you actually get this account. So it is a little bit more research, but you can just ask, get in touch with the chat services, ask all the questions that you need to know, all down. Just ask them. So thanks for checking out today's video. Definitely consider subscribing to Entre Women TV if you love content like this. To check out the video where I talked about, the difference between PayPal here or between Square Card Reader, if you're looking to just maybe sell a few products, get some money in, start flowing some stuff, or even sell a couple things that you have, make sure you click or tap the screen right here. And if you want to check out another video by Entre Women TV, make sure you click or tap the screen right there. As always, my friends, live with passion. I'll see you guys on the next video.